today we're supposed to be covering the future of biotech in the kingdom. This is really a big topic. I'm trying to summarize this as much as possible. I'm not talking on behalf of any government entity as a disclaimer. It's just from my observation of what's happening around في المملكة العربية السعودية اليوم. So when we come to the biotech or the health technology in general, first question comes, so why do we do it? There is no country that does everything on earth. We have a very good excellence in other businesses. The country is already leading في energy sector, is leading or is going to be leading في موضوع minerals. There's a lot of work on desalination. It makes sense, there's no country that does it all. And so a very reasonable question, why do we need to do biotech? There's I summarized it here in 4 areas that makes it essential for the kingdom to do it. One is we have a slew of talent في المملكة in the healthcare sector and healthcare related sector, which mandates a job creation responsibility between science, college, with applied science, with pharmacy, with biotech, with dental, with medicine. I think we have a slew of graduates from inside the kingdom that will definitely, to maximize the benefit of the investment in these manpower, the only way forward is to create appropriate jobs for them. Number 2, it is part of the income generation. This is one big important element of the kingdom. We have an opportunity to lead in this region. This region is lacking biotechnology in general, and we are an importation dependent, which generates then a revenue stream for the kingdom. There is a big issue, which is the healthcare cost. For high-income countries, there is no high-income countries in the world today that is not suffering or struggling with the high costs of healthcare. And there has been a million methods to try to reduce the healthcare cost. One element of success is de novo generation of technology. That's the only way you could balance the increased cost with an economic benefit. And the cost comes with a problem with access. So the more the cost, the more complicated the access will be. So in order for a country like Saudi Arabia, who provides healthcare for all and does not abstain any treatment because of cost, to continue growing into that or fulfilling that requirement is the only way you have to invest into this sector. And the last but not least is economic diversification, which is part of the whole Vision 2030. And biotech is one of the leading today technology worldwide that helps the diversification. Now, how can we put this together? Is it a one-player show? If it was a one-player show, it would have been done. And that's the simplest answer. If it was a single player, if it was Ministry of Health problem, Ministry of Health would have done it. If it was a Saudi Day problem, Saudi Day would have done it. The more complicated the business, the more difficult it takes, the more alignment needed, required by the multiple stakeholders. In biotechnology, we do need the scientists. Scientists are core part of the business, but we also need the healthcare providers. They're the end user of these technologies, and they are the business developer basically. You need the risk managers because there's a reason of what to invest, when to invest, how to invest, where to invest, and this should come with the risk management discussion. You need the investments. Biotech comes with a high cost of development. Regulatory guidelines are stringent, which makes sense because this is the human health. Margin of error is definitely not acceptable or acceptable within very clear limitations. And so the investments is high because the approval and commercialization entry is high. You need the industry groups to be involved because scaling is one big important element. Scaling is at the end of the day, is the business, is the way how you could go from commercialization to sustainability. And the last is you need the economic driver. And if you don't have the economy that maintains this cycle, it will not continue. And if we look at the current map today in the kingdom, you find many players in each of these territory. For the scientific, I think we have very clear players, whether it's the Ministry of Education with the different universities in there. We have recently all celebrated the Research Development Innovation Authority birth, which is hopefully leading the innovation in the country. And we have the old known player in the business, Kmart, King Faisal, CAX, and others. On the healthcare, I think we have one of the strongest healthcare in the region, multiple sector, led by Ministry of Health, led by the others. We also have a big healthcare consumer, led by NAMCO and also the private sector. These are important end users that generate the revenue, that generate the need, which is important. Their buying is important. We have the risk manager. Today, this was established I made those slides some time ago. Beside the Royal Court and the Ministry of Defense, now we have even the National Council, National Security Council, which oversees what is important from a national perspective, and that's important from a risk management strategy. The investment has been growing. I think the most has grown or developed in the last 3 or 4 years. We have not heard big investments happening before COVID-19 in the biotech. There was actually none. And if you go to the VC journal, Saudi VC journal, there was not much of an investment happening prior to that date. Now, every year there is a consistent, steady increase in the amount of money invested in the healthcare in general, health tech in general, whether it's health IT or biotech or medtech. And that's an excitement that is really driven by the big players in the country, so as a public investment fund, Saudi VC, SME Authority, around Kuwait, Chaos Innovation. I think those has helped the private sector to start to share that risk and be part of it. Now, in the industry group has started through the Industrial Clusters program. This has been mounted with a great formation of the National Industry Committee, which is headed by His Excellency Minister of Industry. And I think now we finally have a good industry arm that potentially can be an expandability or a commercial scalability player that can help moving things forward. And then last but not least, is the economic drivers. And today we have different economic drivers from inside and outside the kingdom. We have all the gameplay that MISA, Ministry of Investment, does to attract foreign investments into the country and foreign companies to come and locate in Saudi and help develop driving things. We have Ministry of Economy and Planning, who are also doing a lot of work trying to excite the investment in the sector. We have the Ministry of Labor through HRDF and other programs really stimulating creating of jobs in this sector. Today I'm not going to be able to cover everything, but I'm going to focus on these 3 players. And each one has some advantages and disadvantages so far, which eventually this is a learning curve. There's no way you could make something happen in short term. If we have short breath, don't come to this business, go to other business. Health tech is a long breath. If you expect to have a company up and running in 2 to 3 years, you're in the wrong sector. Restaurant is where you go, which it works well. But this is a long breath, so don't be disappointed or disencouraged by the bad, but this is the nature of things. So on the scientific side, we have, in the good, we have high motivation, we have extreme scientific capability with large number of scientists. We do have a good understanding actually of the demand, and we just heard a nice speech about the genomic demand, and that's just one aspect of it. We have a lot of training activities ongoing, and almost as a year full, there is something happening somewhere for Kingdom in the health tech business. We have multiple labs, amazing infrastructure, huge capacities. Most of them are actually 99% underutilized. We have a lot of granting opportunities coming up with the RDIA authority coming up, Saudi NIH and others. There's a big potential. The announcement of Saudi Vision 2030 in increasing the R&D compared to Saudi GDP. These are all encouraging points to support scientific moving forward. the bad. We do have some complexity still when it comes to regulatory regulations of this business and how to move it from public to private, and the birth of ideation to commercialization. This is a struggle everywhere, and we have our own share. The transition from the mouth of the public sector to the mouth of the private sector is still something of major complexity. If we want to take an example, people don't realize, but Moderna, everybody speaks about how successful they are, they received $1 billion worth of investment from the public sector. $1 billion worth of investments in terms of grants. These are non-equity investments. هذه فلوس بركة. So this is an important, and no one has a sour taste when the public moved and Moderna became a big player in the US economy and then in the global economy. So I think it's important the transition of operations from the public to private needs to be soft. The entrepreneurship is another important thing. I come from the scientific background, and I have to say it wasn't easy. Moving from scientist to entrepreneurship is not the same. Scientists born to be asking questions and doing research and answering the question properly with evidence, reproducible and attainable. Entrepreneurship is a different beast. So that's not an easy thing. We need to get our scientists to at least work with entrepreneurs to understand how to work things out. The system has some difficulty to move things after innovation, after the IP, after the patent is registered. The excitement tends to go down because the remuneration system in the universities is linked to the patent system, nothing after. And then there's the whole pre-seed funding, which is the funding at the stage we still don't have a commercial product out. I think any scientists do require that type of funding to help things move forward. In the healthcare system, we have a very motivated healthcare system. They really want to localize. They're very pushing the localization. Green and healthcare, so in the Saudi Vision transformation program, the healthcare transformation program is talking a lot about localization, including HealthTech and Biotech. There's a big, great support in the sales, and NUPCO is always criticized to support and facilitate local players. There's really no access problem in the kingdom in terms of limitations because of cost. Country tries its best to always make therapeutics, diagnostics, novel treatments available. However, we do have some overall complexity. The short-term reduction of cost usually doesn't end up with the long-term investment of industry. So the short-term excitement to reduce the cost is against the long-term localization of such technology. And thank God some government entities today was born to try to balance this. Then I understand each one coming in from. One wants to reduce the cost, wants to do the developed economy. There's a sales volume or inconsistency does create questions, not for the scientists, but for the investors, because they want to know that their money is going to come back. This is not a pro bono efforts. People want, if they want to invest, they want to make sure that they're not going to lose their cash. And so they want to have some understanding, clear understandability of the business. What is the real incentives for local industry? This has been a major debate, and many players today are trying to solve this question in the healthcare side. And of course, the patients and the confidence of the patients. And we need to generate big confidence in the local production, as we've done in other sectors, where the Saudi brand becomes a major trusted brand. Final is the investors, and these are the hardest. The investors are really motivated to support the local Saudi Vision 2030. I don't think if you meet any big family groups and you tell them, are you with to support a vision, and they go, absolutely. And there's a clarity. There's a clarity from the market that there is cash available. The cash is not available, and we saw that over and over. We oversubscribe in almost all the cases. So there's definite cash that is requiring reinvestments. There's an understanding of the healthcare. Well, the healthcare اليوم is a big bubble في المملكة. So much that the international is looking into this bubble and see how they could benefit from it. The government VC bodies, which I mentioned before, do play a major catalyst role. However, biotech is a bad thing or health tech is a bad thing. Then you go through a learning curve. What the hell is that? What does it entitle? And it's so easy to describe a hotel or entertainment business, but it's really complex for a non-scientific, someone who is pure financials, to explain to them your business, especially if you're a scientist, to come and tell them genome or sequence, so you might lose them at hello. But then the nature of the VC is still short-lived. This is not a long-term lived. If you can believe, many, or if you go today to NASDAQ, many of the listed companies don't have a commercial product, do not have a commercial product. And that is something, imagine 3 or 4 waves of investments has gone through with no commercial product. This is a mindset that really still requires a lot of thinking. And when I tell people Moderna until went IPO in 10 years, not even a close commercial product. كان وقتها اشتغلوا على الفلو results was horrible. I saw it. Went IPO $400 million. So there's a whole idea of investment into the thinking or the idea, not just the commerciality. And of course, there is a smaller pockets of experts, and they always have due diligence. But due diligence requires experts. Well, experts are small pockets, and so it becomes a difficult task that takes longer time, which requires more patience. Now, just to tell you a little bit about our journey. Our journey hasn't been any easier. And we started in 2016. We built both a dual system, and this is important for you who's starting today. And I encourage this. You want to develop a dual system, a system that generates cash more faster, and a system that generates cash more long term. And I think it was also mentioned in the presentation before me, exactly similar setup. You need something to be able to be commercialized today, and you need something to work on the long term. That's a definite demand. Don't copy any other biotech examples worldwide. We had to work on both. And I said, the path to commercialization is long. This is just a path for biotechnology, or exactly, especially for pharmaceutical. It's a really long path. It's a big, long path. And commercial is the last thing on the right. So it takes a lot of investments and risk taking. And the more you want to lump these forward, the more you are willing to lump the risk and increase the overlapping, the more likely you're going to finish early. The longer you take go steps, the more it's going to take longer, but the lower risk. So it's all about the risks taking. Risks taking, وصلنا لمرحلة في COVID, we actually advanced purchase vaccines that never made it in commercial. وعكسها تماما, if you take long, it takes years of development. And the question is just how much of overlap you're willing to take. That's all. Regulatory has improved, but it's all about risk taking or mitigation. But the journey is long, and that's why you require, in the long term, you do require to build the ecosystem around you or make sure it's available to you in an outsourcing or out-contracting format. And now we've done our best to do both, to be licensed in the research side and to be licensed in the manufacturing side so that we are able to cater to both sides of the development. Not everybody needs to do it. You just need to make sure that you have access to both. That's why people look at it and go, you've signed so many things, because the ecosystem is huge. So we needed to build everything from training to research to industry to localization to manufacturing to pharmaceuticals to commercialization. So it's not an easy ecosystem, and you need to work with collaborators. And there isn't a product today that you get in a pharmaceutical business that comes from one side. There isn't. There's nothing that comes from one side. So it's normal that there is a magnitude of collaboration that works together. واحدة من الأشياء اللي we're proud of and we're just announcing اللي هو how we work together على موضوع industry training. To tell you the truth, we as Scivax, we stopped interviewing people لأنه they all fail at the interview. And the reason why they fail at the interview, من أول سؤال أقول له why Scivax؟ ويبدأ يتكلم عن research. We're not a research company, we're a biotech company. And research في KAXT, في KSU, في KAU. We don't do research. So we stopped doing research. Stopped interviewing. عشان لأنه intimidating لهم يزعلوا وهم already tense. ونحن نزعل كمان جاي منك وجاي مشوار وعارفين وانت ما عارف ايش تسوي. So and then we realized the gap is huge. So we put together a training program that is take someone who's a graduate of biology, chemistry, pharmacy, biotech, and get them through what is biotechnology about. Understanding all the segments, from regulations to quality, to manufacturing, to development, to what does it mean أصلاً GMP وSaudi FDA or regulations, what does that mean? Which we recognize it was a gap. We've done this in collaborations with الهيئة السعودية للفحوصات الصحية, جامعة الملك عبد العزيز, HEDF. So it's a subsidized training program, and finally we're kicking off the first one, inshallah, July. So it's not an easy. So now Jeddah, we're in talks today with the Riyadh to do another one in Riyadh. This is not an easy thing, but we felt it's a must, and we have a lot of excitement. There's a gap in knowledge. Not your fault. Now, it's important to know, ترى نحن مو الوحيدين. The entire world has done it. COVID-19 made an awakening worldwide. أنا ما قاعد أتكلم عن أوروبا وأمريكا, هم already have established. This is just pharma emerging countries, and they have developed different incentives to support biotechnology. So it's not a stranger to the kingdom to develop such incentives, which I touched about in the presentation. Not to take a lot of your time, today we have three major buckets of excitement in Saudi. We have a NEOM biotech strategy. All I understand is still under formation, should be announced soon. الهيئة العليا لتطوير الرياض برضه خلصت الاستراتيجية حقتها. في حاجة اسمها رياض Biotech City will be announced inshallah, and this is a major inshallah big breakthrough through biotech. And of course الكيك هو كان الزون اللي أعطي أخيرا مؤخرا من قرار مجلس الوزراء to be the medical or the pharma industry zone. These are exciting locations that stimulates inshallah the health tech industry overall. So next steps, identify the biotech as a need, put a global leader, a regional leader or a national leader, which I think the country is in the making. This is in the making. Hopefully we see a body that leads the health tech in general. We need resources. This is a long-term vision. Don't make a 2-year or a 3-year or a 4-year plan. 5, 10, 15 years, that's more likely to happen. Build the ecosystem to support each other. Don't build it competitive, but build it collaborative. لأنه there's no much market today to fight over. إذا في واحد جينوميك الله يقويه. Qualis everything support him. واحد proteomic support him. واحد بيسوي molecular support him. واحد بيسوي pharma support him. بيسوي vaccine support him. Try to work together لأنه it's already tough, and you're breaking the tough into toughness. So I think it's more important to create a collaborative environment, not a competitive environment. لكم جزيلا.